Yeah, we've actually touched on a lot of the headwinds, but let's sum them all up.
Right.
First is you've got a changing buyer, getting more digital or digital only. For us, if I go back to my car buying analogy, as you get from 365 kinds of cars, which is a real number, one for every day of the year, down to the one that you're going to enter the dealership, the invoice price, the back end rebates, more about the car than the salesperson ever will. The most broken part of the process for most people is the 8 hours you spend sitting at the dealership, as the manager tries to get you a deal.
Right.
Where you already know within $100 how this is all going to end. And you'd pay $100 more just to have them deliver the car to your driveway and hand you the keys. So in a world that's digital or digital only, at least in 68% of cases and growing today, there is no appetite anymore for a physical bump in that digital journey, especially in a subscription consumption model where I'm going to convert 28 moments to vendor selection to a digital transaction. There's no point there that I want to, introduce Larry in the white van to pay my Netflix bill to. There's a point of digital subscription. And then maybe at the end of the decade, we're going to be spending digital money like crypto to do that digital transaction. But every 30 days after that is also digital. So this physical element is a big change in the buyer. So product-led growth model, subscription, consumption, usage-based value, all these things, and marketplaces, which grew more in 3 months last year than the last 10 years combined. 1/3 of the US economy right now is marketplace.
Right.
So all of that is headwinds against a reseller. Second is you've got obviously the growth of hyper marketplaces, the Amazon for business, the Alibabas of the world that have next day prime. Just an unbelievable experience. You've got this opening of information and parts. Back in the day when one of your appliances broke, you called, a person that either came for hundreds of dollars to fix it, or you had to buy a new $600 or $100 appliance.
And they show up sometime next Wednesday, but they won't tell you when.
Yeah, between 10 in the morning and 10 at night.
Exactly.
So today we type in the part number in YouTube, and there's a 10-minute step-by-step video of how you can remove 5 bolts and the heater motor, the cooler or the turning motor. And all these things are just things that can be ordered on Amazon for $32. And they're literally bolts that you can follow a 10-minute video on your iPad. So this opening of information is damaging for people who, thrive on being an expert in HVAC or being an expert in technology, service. But then this opening of parts, you could never get that heater motor before. You had to go through Larry, who went through a regional, who went through a distributor wholesale. Well, now that part is next day delivery on Amazon. So now instead of waiting till next Wednesday, by tomorrow, you can fix your dryer. So that's, huge headwinds, and that's changing the concept of a lot of these things. But maybe the largest change for resellers is subscription. You're going from that $1 million $1 million HPE deal to $9,000 a month. This happened 13 years ago when Microsoft Office went from $300 shrink wrap to $6 a month.
Yeah.
And whatever margin you make at $6, 20%, 30%, it doesn't matter. You're not paying your mortgage on $6. You're not going to pay your mortgage as a big reseller on $9,000 that first 30 days with HP. If you think HPE is going to pay you every 30 days for the rest of time, like the telco model, they're not.
No.
They might pay you for 2 or 3 years to make sure that we get this cycle of stickiness and adoption going. But there's no long-term subscription model where they're going to share upwards of 20 to 30% of their revenue. That's the whole point of why subscription revenue is so nicely received by Wall Street. It's more profitable, it's more predictable, and it's more long-term. That's why you get a bigger valuation on it. So as a reseller, this new subscription model is going to take your top line revenue down significantly, as it is for distributors.